How we doing? uh, First off, congrats to Jake Arthur on the birth of a baby. Game-wise, not the end result that we were looking for. I thought special teams, as a whole played solid, controlled the battlefield position. We won the kickoff drive start. Their average starting field position was 29. Ours was a 34. We downed three punts inside the 10-yard line, had another punt that hit at the 5 that we unfortunately weren't able to down, went in for a touchback, but thought Rigo punted the ball really well. We had a really solid performance from Amir, Abdullah again, just a veteran guy that's doing a great job. Had a tackle on kickoff, generated a 44-yard, 45-yard explosive kickoff return. I think JT Tuimoloau continues to keep getting better and playing well. Had three tackles in coverage, and Tyler Goodson had two really good tackles in coverage as well. Another guy that played really well in the game. Really the highlights things. Obviously, field goal wise, there's a lot to highlight and talk about there. And then just the last kickoff. Certainly our objective every time that we, kick the ball off is to generate a tackle at or in front of the 30-yard line. Critical point in the game, very similar to like what it was in the Falcons game, where we had one right at the end of regulation where we ended up generating a good tackle inside the 30-yard line. That's always the expectation. The kicking and coverage have to work together. We end up kicking the ball a little bit shorter than what we would have wanted to like happen there, which puts the returner onto the coverage a little bit sooner. We needed a trigger to keep contained, and we certainly had an opportunity to make that tackle inside the 30. Obviously, Rashid Shaheed is an elite level returner, was able to return that ball out to the 37, which the net end result then is 2 yards better than a touchback, but certainly not the standard that we want to set to finish off the game with. Blake Grupe continues to kick the ball extremely well. Certainly want to keep building off that. Very proud of him. He's come in, he's kicked the ball really well in practice, made all of his kicks in practice, kicked really well in pregame, translated over to kicking really well in the game. Really tough environment, was extremely loud. They take a timeout and he's standing out there, at midfield, and that place was incredibly loud, really difficult, tough moment. And he steps up to make what is the longest field goal in Colts franchise history and the longest field goal in Lumen Field history. Was just a really big time kick. Uh, and just got to keep building off that, but he's done a really, really nice job.
Joel, go ahead.
Was there something technically that you guys identified with Blake that you could fix coming off of his Saints time?
I think he said something along the lines of like things snowballed on him a little bit. I think a little bit of some of the things that we saw, um, not to get into too many specifics because you don't want to discuss things with other teams, but we saw some things maybe that we thought, hey, he could benefit from being with Luke and Rigo. That would give him a little bit more of a steady situation. The operation we knew would be clean and something that he could feel comfortable and confident with. I think there's probably some times where, when things for a variety of different reasons don't go exactly the way you want as a kicker and things maybe snowball a little bit, you lose some confidence, whether that be with yourself or with the operation and things. We knew, hey, we have a really solid situation here that if he's still kicking at a high level, which he was in the tryout, and we know that he's a really confident guy, that we can get him back into his routine and we can give him a really solid, dependable operation that he's going to be able to trust and pick up where he left off to kick like he did in 2024.
Kevin.
Brian, Shane talks about groupie swagger. I think you just said really confident. What do you observe in that area? Obviously, you've known him a little bit longer than everybody else.
Yeah, he certainly, I think that's, kind of who he's maybe had to be a little bit, but he certainly has a ton of confidence. He's certainly somebody that like guys rally around. He's definitely a really good locker room guy. He was voted a captain by the Saints this past year. So obviously he's somebody that has, the ability to lead in the locker room, have a big personality. But, let's look at it. Like we all can see it. He's a really small 148-pound kicker who was not very big in high school, didn't get recruited by anybody, walked on at Arkansas State, right? So he's had to overcome a lot of adversity and kind of have a lot of confidence in himself to kind of push those boundaries to be able to be one of the best kickers in Arkansas State history, to then transfer to Notre Dame. And again, people are going to doubt him because of his size and things. And he's a kicker at Notre Dame. Nobody thinks he's going to have a chance to kick in the NFL. right? And he's got to believe in himself and do all those things and then prove everybody wrong to be a kicker in the NFL. So I think, he's overcome a lot of adversity. A lot of that has to do with his size and people maybe, thinking maybe he can't make big kicks and do different things based on that. And all along the way, he's just had a lot of swag and a lot of confidence in himself, to kind of prove everybody wrong.
And then on that last kickoff, is there too much risk in trying to get the landing zone squib with how the rules have changed
Hmm.
there? You guys obviously pinned him near the sideline there. Was that any debate?
Define landing zone squib, just so I'm on the same page.
You got to get it inside the 20, right? Or else the touchback is a little bit, or else there's a penalty, right? For the landing zone.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say squib, what are you envisioning?
Well, I guess a ball that is A, down the middle of the field, and B, potentially has a chance to bounce before the returner picks it up.
Yeah, so and there's certainly some teams that have been able to master that a little bit better than
Right.
than others. From just a conservative standpoint, like if we could hit a knuckleball kick or a really funky, dirty kick that could consistently land past the 20 and hit the ground, we would do that. But that's something like we need to be able to do like 9 out of 10 times. And it's not an easy thing to be able to do and master. There's only maybe 3 teams I know that are consistently doing that in the NFL out of the 32. So to then also do that in that situation when it's really critical, like if you miss hit it at all with your ball contact and it goes short, they get the ball at the 40-yard line, which you can't certainly allow to happen in that situation. So that's not really something that we were considering to do right there because we didn't have the confidence that we're going to consistently be able to get it on the ground and past the 20-yard line every single time.